This is the #1 most important game in DFS tournaments in week 1. So if you want to win on DraftKings, stick around for the lineup build at the end. Seriously. We got to talk through KC at Arizona, where the Chiefs are 3-point road favorites. Reeves, tell me my Cardinals are going to get off on the right foot here.
It's really tough. I mean, this is going to be a game where you look at both sides of the ball for the Cardinals and the amount of players that they're going to be missing. It's like Cliff's going to have to really pull something out of his bag. This is a big coaching game for Cliff, and typically he has not delivered in those moments. So this is, they're just missing so many people. This is why the line has consistently shifted this week. You already talked about offense. They're not going to have DeAndre Hopkins. They may not have Zach Ertz. It's Thursday. He did not practice today. Keep following that for the rest of this week. On defense, they not only lost Chandler Jones and Jordan Hicks this offseason, who were two of their top five guys in pressures. Marcus Golden has yet to practice this week. J.J. Watt has yet to practice this week. Trayvon Mullen has yet to practice this week. It's rough, man. It's rough on paper. The Cardinals are missing a lot of bodies, and this is the wrong team to miss bodies against. You got Andy Reid coming off this huge runway. The Chiefs have won 7 straight season openers. It's the longest streak in the league. They're 5-2 against the spread in those games. Interesting enough, all 7 of those games have gone over the game total as well. And you look at this now post Tyreek Hill. The Chiefs kind of, I think, tipped their hand a little bit this preseason. Again, small sample, but on Patrick Mahomes' dropbacks, they played a lot heavier. And I think that's what they're going to do this year. They've got the good offensive line. They're going to use their kind of receivers situationally. They all kind of do something a little bit different, and they can do that now with these wide receivers. They were in 11 personnel, 66% of the time for Patrick Mahomes' career, 2019 to 2021. In the preseason, it was just 51%. And you saw Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he was hyper efficient. I believe we're going to get that here, just the amount of bodies that the Cardinals are missing, like I alluded to. And the Cardinals were already a team that was 22nd in the NFL in pressure rate. It's going to be a bloodbath, I think. I don't think they're going to slow down the Chiefs at all in this game. So, I mean, we're going to get the Cardinal side in a jailbreak situation, which is nice, too, because the Cardinals run a ton of plays. We're going to get a ton of hurry-up offense from the Cardinals in this game. So we could get a lot of Chiefs possessions as well. Also, the Cardinals, the way they left off last season was a disaster. They closed the season last year just getting absolutely eviscerated. I mean, you look at their defense couldn't stop anyone to close the year. They absolutely get run out of the playoffs by the Rams. But even leading into that, they give up almost 40 points to the Seahawks, over 30 points to the Lions. They give up 5 top 10 scoring weeks to close last season, 14 passing touchdowns over that span. And like I said, even a guy like Jared Goff hit him up for over 20 fantasy points. So, I mean, this is a huge, I think, Mahomes spot. I also think Mahomes is a little irked, man. This is narrative-y, but I think Mahomes is kind of irked. No one's on the Chiefs. Everyone's picked the Bills.
They're sneaky right now. That's so weird. It says the Chiefs haven't been sneaky in years.
Yeah,
it feels like, honestly. Yeah,
I think he feels like he has a different kind of presence to him this offseason when they talk to him. It might be a little bit of a red ass situation, but definitely follow all these Cardinals defensive injuries, because if guys don't play, I mean, they're already down to potentially just having Marco Wilson and Byron Murphy be their top 2 healthy cornerbacks. Now that Antonio Hamilton's already out for this game because of that cooking incident that he had. And no team was kind of slaughtered in the slot like Arizona was. They were 31st in the league in points allowed to opposing slot receivers. They were 29th in yardage allowed per game to opposing slot receivers. And they allowed a league-high 18 receiving touchdowns to receivers from the slot. Even Juju, for the struggles in the Pittsburgh offense the past couple of years, the one thing he kept consistently kind of doing and showing that he was capable of was still scoring touchdowns. He still was getting 7+ touchdowns regularly, even though the low yards per catch and the low ADOT, all that was still kind of there. So, I mean, we know the Chiefs are kind of one of these teams when they get inside the money zone, they do weird things and they like to throw the football. So Juju, kind of the matchup kind of lines up for him. 5,200, I feel like, is a great jumping off point. The thing is too, when you look at the cornerback situation being so dire, I mean, it also opens the door maybe for MVS to potentially hit. I mean, since entering the league, MVS has just been this vertical target, right? No players accrued more targets over 30 yards downfield than MVS, except for Tyreek Hill, right? Guess who he's replacing? And Arizona was dead last in the NFL in defending those vertical targets last year. They allowed a league-high 50% completion rate on throws 30-plus yards in the air, 29th in completion rate allowed on throws over 20 yards downfield. So if you're going to hit a big one, I mean, this defense, like I said, it's just the running theme is they're just really depleted. The one area where they're not depleted, though, is in the middle of the field, and they've got big athletic guys to throw at Travis Kelce. Now, we're not running away from Travis Kelce. Hell, we'll probably even build a lineup with Travis Kelce. But if you look at like who's healthy and good on the Cardinals defense, they've got Jalen Thompson, Budda Baker, Xavier Collins, and Isaiah Simmons, like big athletic guys in the middle of the field. And they were really good. That showed off against tight ends. Like the one good thing about Arizona's defense last year is they were 5th in catch rate allowed to tight ends. They were 10th in yards allowed per target to tight ends. They allowed just 2 touchdowns to tight ends. That was tied for first in the NFL. Now we're not moving off Travis Kelce, but the one strength that they kind of have coming in this game is they have big athletic guys. Now, Budda Baker's not big, but the other guys are. But he's good. He's a good player. Yeah. They've got athletic bodies to throw at Travis Kelce. So, I am on Juju. I think MVS is kind of he's more of like a cute play. We know the floor is there. But, yeah, I think it's a huge Mahomes game, though.
Yeah, if you haven't checked out the video that we did, I guess go ahead and check out both the other game breakdowns. But one of those lineups has Juju in it, spoiler alert. But I guess this offense is interesting, Reeves, because we've seen it year after year just be so condensed with Kelce and with Tyreek. Do you think that there's anyone else that we could see emerge past Kelce, past Juju? Like, I get that MVS is still kind of like that home run hitter, but is it going to be the MVS, Sky Moore, McCole Hardman? Like, are we just going to have no idea which third guy is going to step up every week?
Maybe not even a second. Even the second guy might be a rotating door based on opponent and matchup. Yeah. I think that could even potentially happen. I just think that this Chiefs team is going to be a lot more versatile than it was in previous years. And that goes to show, like, the way teams have manifested and tried to defend the Chiefs, they're trying to counter that, right? Like by moving on from Tyreek Hill and use like a lot more pieces and just be a lot more versatile. So we'll see. Like I said, the Chiefs are another team. Like, we're looking for that reveal, right? And we're even going to get a reveal on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. How much does he does he keep coming off the field in third downs? And the preseason he did come off the field on still third downs to Patrick Mahomes. Is that something that's going to be kind of static? Because we obviously want attachment to the Chiefs offense, and if he's another one of these guys and they're going to play more power football, like, does he have a chance still to kind of like have anything left in the bottle here?
I guess on the Arizona side, do you have any interest in the value, or is this going to be a situation where it's just kind of going to be a bit of a dumpster fire? We have James Conner there at $7K, which is kind of a weird range because there's so much to pay up for at running back. But curious your thoughts on like the value side of Arizona with like Rondale, those type of guys.
I mean, we know, like I said, Arizona's going to play fast, and they've got potential to run a lot of plays, and we can get fantasy points here, even if it's junk. I think Kyler's interesting if you want to do like an inverse build and, just say, hey, maybe the Chiefs end up getting up. Maybe we see some of that power run game, and you can go with Kyler. I wish that some of the more pieces were healthy. We've seen him really struggle without DeAndre Hopkins on the field last year. His splits without him on the field were really kind of night and day. Obviously, you add a guy like Hollywood Brown to circumvent that. But, we've got Zach Ertz coming into this game banged up. Just another kind of, just a lot of question marks on the Arizona side. Really, the one kind of question mark we don't have, though, is James Conner, right? Like, I do believe that they want to lessen the workload he had with Chase Edmonds out, but I think that's going to be like an over the course of a season type thing, right?
Right.
When you look at what they're coming in so shorthanded, I mean, I think he's going to be a guy they are going to use a lot in this game. And obviously, we've targeted, running backs against the Chiefs, not just for last season when they were, bad again, 30th in the NFL in yards per carry to running backs. They also were 29th in receiving points allowed per game to running backs. But this is a multi-year thing with the structure of this defense and, the game scripts that they're in, that running backs kind of beat them up. And also we're getting touchdown equity in James Conner too. So I do think James Conner is interesting. The receivers, I think, are all playable. It's just a little bit more whack-a-mole. Obviously, if Zach Ertz is out, it helps a guy like Rondale Moore because it's just an area where he got targeted a lot last year when he was targeted. And if he's going to be the guy that fills in the slot for Christian Kirk, you can get a lot of bunnies, like a lot of freebies without Zach Ertz on the field. Because Trey McBride, he ran 36 routes in the preseason. He only drew 2 targets. So it's not like he was drawing a lot of targets either. So it's hard to bank on and say, yeah, well, you can punt with Trey McBride. I think Rondale Moore would just be the guy that would benefit the most from that. Obviously, you have the upside in Hollywood Brown if you want to pay up. He's tough. He's in a tricky area of pricing this week because there are so many guys a little bit higher or lower than him that represent maybe a little more like stability at the top and then upside below him. But it is a good marriage. Obviously, you've seen these two guys play together at Oklahoma. Kyler Murray has been the most efficient downfield thrower since he entered the NFL. On those throws, 30 or more air yards. He is number one in the NFL in completion rate since entering the league. And that was really with Christian Kirk being his primary vertical lid lifter. Now he's getting a guy like Hollywood Brown who commands a lot of those types of targets. And that wasn't Lamar's game. He had the most uncatchable targets deemed due to quarterback inaccuracy on those throws. And now, like I said, he's going to play with Kyler, the most accurate quarterback on those throws since he entered the league. The Chiefs also have some moving parts defensively. They're probably going to be starting a rookie in Trent McDuffie on the outside with L'Jarius Sneed inside the slot and Rashard Felton outside. And they were toasted by opposing wide receiver ones a year ago. They were 29th in allowing 17.9 PPR points per game to opposing wide receiver ones. So if that's static, it obviously opens up some upside for Hollywood Brown, who did have a big game against the Chiefs when he was on the Ravens last year. Also, this is gross, and don't kick me off the show for this, but AJ Green is alive in this game. He's going to be a full-time player in this game. And if you're going to play an old guy, week one, it's the freshest he's going to be. AJ Green he was a vertical target in this offense. He averaged under 16 yards per catch, 15.7, 9.2 yards per target. Listen, the Chiefs were a team. It's 17th in yards per target to opposing wide receivers, 27th in touchdown rate. If you're looking for a guy that's just going to be on the field a lot and a team that's going to be potentially a negative game script, he's going to be out there.
Yeah, what if AJ Green and Sammy Watkins are the guys you need in week one?
And Randall Cobb, all these old guys.
Yeah, Randall Cobb. I hope not, man. I think one thing that's kind of interesting, and I guess to kind of go parallel to Hollywood Brown, Lamar, like at the top of quarterback this week in terms of like where these separators are with ceiling, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, those guys are going to probably be a lot more popular than either of the quarterbacks in this game. So I think Mahomes and Kyler are both viable in this one. Justin Herbert, I guess, probably you could put up there in the ceiling category as well. But it's a super interesting game overall. But before we build the DraftKings lineup, if you haven't heard, I am rolling out a premium newsletter this year. It's called the DFS and Betting Playbook. It's the best NFL picks right to your inbox, as well as some prize picks for every island game and some DraftKings Showdown breakdowns, which I'm super excited about. There's a 7-day free trial, so there's literally no downside whatsoever. Check out the link in the description for that. But Reeves, let's go ahead and build a lineup here. If we were to start with some sort of game stack in this one, obviously the really nice part about this game is that it is a 325 start. So if you did have this in your lineup, it gives you a lot of late swap flexibility, that sort of thing, which we always talk about. And if you haven't watched us build a lineup before, we typically like to build for smaller field tournaments, so we overstack a little bit. So if tournament that's like 500 or less people. So we're going to keep that train moving. Do you want the Mahomes side or the Kyler side in this one, Reeves?
Let's go Mahomes. Let's go with the team with the highest game total. Let's see. Like you said, maybe they're a little sneaky because people either don't want to pay up or they don't want to see this thing, the reveal, right? So let's start off and see if we can do a double with Juju and Kelsey. And I don't know, we might have to pull Kelsey out depending if salary gets tight, but we'll try it. Let's just see. I haven't tried to build with Kelsey yet because he's 66, right?
Yeah. Do you want to bring it back with Hollywood or with Rondale?
With Kelsey right now, let's try Rondale. And if we cut salary, maybe we end up flipping to Hollywood.
Okay. Interesting. So as of right now, we're still doing pretty well on salary. So like getting Rondale and Juju in there, like those price tags are just so. I mean, this week in general, we've talked about it a little bit with Jake. It seems like there's some clear like bad pricing. Like it's very loose. Like it's week one. Let's let people build cool lineups. You know what I mean? Like this isn't something we see by week 6. And obviously these prices have been out for a while, but like we're going to see Michael Pittman be massively owned because he's like 5,500. Like there's just like stuff like that all over the board. So is there anything else that kind of stands out in terms of like a mini stack, Reeves? I mean, we have some salary to work with here.
Yeah, let's do a mini stack that we're going to talk about in another video. And let's do Aaron Jones and Justin Jefferson.
Nice.
That'll eat some of our salary.
That will. I add the games back for that to work. There we go. So Aaron Jones, 6,700. I mean, there's got to be a scenario where like Aaron Rodgers for the first couple of weeks, he just keeps dumping it off to both running backs, and that's all he's really comfortable with, right? Like we'll see, like if we get Lazard in this one, but or maybe like your boy Randall Cobb. That's that game's that we'll talk more about that game later, but it is interesting.
Throw me the Commanders D again, and we'll see if we have more salary to play with. Maybe upgrade on them.
You just want to say Commanders at this point.
I don't. I'm trying to get it in my brain, used to saying it out loud.
All right, so we got 47.50 left, so we're definitely going to need at least one more value at running back or flex.
All right, let's put in a wild card here, and let's put in Kadarius Toney.
Ooh, okay. Talk me through the Kadarius Toney play, because I feel like the Giants are like one of the bigger wild cards, I guess, even going into week 1, right? Like Shepard's back in the mix. Like we have all these people talking about their rookie draft pick, and I don't know, man. Toney was the guy that all offseason seemed like the guy to me.
Yeah, I mean, Toney's one of these weird guys, right? That like last year was the full Kadarius Toney experience. Like he flashed excellence. This is what he did at Florida. Flashed excellence and then like would be hurt, like miss time. And people, it feels like that's what happened this entire offseason too, right? Like people, he started to get steam and they're like, oh, he had offseason knee surgery, but he has practiced all week. He's not even on the injury report. And I think we might be able to use some of that to our benefit early in the season because he's a guy that was getting steam and now everyone kind of cooled the brakes on. It's kind of a quagmire, like you said, with Wandale, the ghost of Kenny Galladay, who seemingly has quit football while still playing football.
He got paid. He's like, all right, guys, I'm out.
Yeah, and you know we've got them as huge road dogs, so we're expecting game script here to be pass heavy. Also, we have Brian Daboll on the fold, and we saw a little bit in preseason some of the reveal from them. They were in 11 personnel on 81% of their snaps. That was third in the league. A year ago, the Giants were in 11 personnel, just 57% of their snaps. That was 22nd. So I think Tony's gonna be a full-time player. It's more of a salary save here, on DraftKings. So. We'll plug him in. And he's also another 4 p.m. guy, which gives us more. This lineup has a ton of like moving parts, right? Like we can tear this thing down if we feel like.
It's nice because we'll get some of like the early chalk out of the way and we'll be able to figure out what to kind of do from there.
Yeah, we'll know if Michael Pittman hit, if know what CMC did. So man, this is gross.
5,400 at running back, so that range for us is like CEH, Miles Sanders, Damian Pierce,
do we do it?
Eli Mitchell, those type of guys. Maybe, I mean, it gets us Edmonds again if you want to go back to him, which I don't hate. Or we just say screw it, man. Like we get Dylan and Aaron Jones in there and just hope Aaron Rodgers just dumps it off 100 times.
Yeah, for both those guys, the hit a ceiling is probably tough. So we have two options here. Do we just swerve into it and we go Chiefs onslaught and put CH, or do we put Edmonds back in and then go up to Dolphins D for like the little mini stack?
Could do that.
We could do Edmonds, Dolphins D correlation play, or just CEH. I mean, that at least gives the listeners like flexibility too if they want to try to mirror this.
What do you think CEH's role is going to look like? I mean, he's just such a guy he's so hard to click.
Yep.
But I mean, he's going to be out there, man. I don't know. Like, give us a CEH kind of quick, I guess, walkthrough.
Well, I believe he's going to be the guy they were trying to condition him to be like a guy that could play like 8 to 10 snaps in a row in the preseason. The question, like I said, is does he play at all on long down and distances? We'd love for him to catch some passes finally, right? And then obviously them keeping Ronald Jones maybe potentially muddies the water if they get like near the goal line and they want to try to run the football. But I do believe he's going to have first crack at being the goal line guy. He closed last year as the goal line guy and was actually kind of okay in that role. But yeah, he's a big mystery because of those two elements. Is he just the guy that gets carries between the 20s and doesn't catch a lot of passes or score a lot of touchdowns? That's not that great. Like, you know, so I mean, we could put him if we want. Like I said, it gives gamers though that see this build flexibility to know you can go Edmonds plus Dolphins D or CEH